truth is, you can't milk a nut. It's not nut milk. It's nut. Hey, I'm Nick Noctis, and today I'm going to be making you just a little bit funnier. In this video, we're going to talk about a simple method for writing jokes called the two worlds method. No, two worlds, not two moons. I'm not going to be talking about horny teenagers and brooding vampires and werewolves. Focus, guys. The two worlds method is simple, clear, and reliable. A good way to conceptualize this is to think about the opposite of your experience on dating apps. I'm sorry, Jen. If they were going to message you back, they would have by now. And just like dating apps, once you start understanding the patterns, you'll start seeing jokes everywhere. So here's what we're going to do. First, I'm going to explain how the method works. Then I'm going to walk you through how I used it to write one of my own jokes so you can see it from start to finish. So what is the two worlds method? Just to be clear, still not this. It's simple. Comedy loves contrasts. If you take two things that don't normally go together and you force them to interact, it's a setup for some funny things to start happening. Let's take a look at a very simple example two-world joke. I'll play the setup now and then we'll watch the punchline later. Ever noticed how similar the gym and politics are? So did you see the two worlds? One is the gym and gym culture, and the other is politics. And they don't belong together. And it's that contrast that grabs the audience's attention. It creates anticipation. Did you notice what just happened? You already started to try to connect the two. Something about dumbbells? Something about identity? Your brain is trying to solve it, and that builds tension. And when the punchline hits, it releases that tension. They're both filled with sweaty orange-skinned men yelling and grunting who love their own reflection. Now the connection is obvious, and that's what delights us. And we can do this with any two worlds. And the more contrast, the better. What are the two worlds here? So here's the important part. How we use that contrast to make something funny. The opening line, the comparison, that's your thesis. Just like in an essay, the thesis is the claim that you're making. Every joke after that is like a supporting argument. Each one has to prove or support the thesis. And it gets a laugh when the connection is surprisingly true, when it shouldn't make sense, but somehow it does. And that tension between ridiculous and undeniable, that's where comedy lives. So that's the structure. The supporting arguments are the jokes. They're the bricks that we build with. And I'm going to show you how to make them by using my nut milk joke. Nut milks. It's something that's bothered me for a long time. Every time I hear somebody say nut milk, I bite my tongue and think that's not milk, because you can't milk a nut. You soak it, you blend it, you squeeze it through a bag. That's not milk. That's juice. Nut juice. And that's when I realized, oh, this is a two-world situation. World one is wellness language. It's clean, soft, smooth, and friendly. World two is taboo language. Anything that's slightly uncomfortable, gross, or too honest. And the thesis here? We call it nut milk because nobody wants to say or hear nut juice. Once I knew the two worlds, I started by writing out all the cliches, language, phrases, images, opposites that I could think of for each. And then I reviewed these lists, paying close attention to anything that popped out to me or felt weird. That's where the comedy is going to live. And that's it. That's the whole exercise. 3 ideas did jump out to me, and they were freshly squeezed, what about the children, and having company over. And now we're going to turn these into jokes one by one. Come on. First one that popped out to me was freshly squeezed. Because we hear people say things like, "Excuse me, is your juice freshly squeezed?" And the reply is always, "Yes, sir. All of our juices are freshly squeezed." Okay, but what happens if we swap just one word? "Excuse me, is your nut juice freshly squeezed?" And where does nut milk actually come from? "Yes, sir. Hand squeezed straight from the nutsack." Okay. Excellent. Now let's imagine it's a farm-to-table restaurant and your server just happens to be the owner. "Excuse me, is your nut juice freshly squeezed?" "Oh, yes, sir. All of my nut juices are locally sourced, hand squeezed, and straight from my nutsack." Oof. Now, is that still farm to table? Or is it technically now farmer to table? The second idea that jumped out to me was about the children, because kids saying inappropriate things has been stressing adults out since the invention of language. So what's a normal version of this situation? Can I have some juice, please? Right, kids love juice. It's totally innocent and completely normal. But what happens if we swap one word again? Can I have some nut juice, please? Right, now it's getting a little weird. And what happens if we personalize it a little bit? Can I have some of your nut juice, please? Even better. Now, is there any other taboo language or scenario or setup that we can use to make everything worse? Of course there is. We, as a society, can't stomach the idea of nut juice coming out of the mouths of our young children. Can I have a sip of your nut juice, Daddy? And that's a guaranteed visit by Child Protective Services. And the last idea that popped out to me was about having company over. Because what do you do when you have people over? You offer them something warm, friendly, and harmless. Can I get you a tea? Coffee? Nut juice? Right? Sounds a little weird. Let's build the rest of this out. And how would they reply? Yeah, I'll take a tall glass of your homemade nut juice, Brian. Okay. And if Brian's a good host, he's gonna ask the most normal follow-up question in the world. And how would you like that served? And what's the worst possible reply here? Oh, you know me, Brian. I always like it your body temperature. And that's the whole thing. You take two worlds that don't normally go together, you push them up beside each other, and you see what happens. I'm gonna keep posting these as I work through new jokes. If you want more, it's all below. If you figure out any of your own two worlds jokes, post them below. And I'll see you in the next one.